Hi, everybody. Welcome to English Digest. I'm Tom.
Hi, I'm Stephanie.
It's our literature unit for the month of April, and today we're going to continue talking about our featured novel, Rainbow Boys. Okay, so last time, of course, we started to summarize the plot of this particular story. We have three main characters in our story. We've got Jason, the basketball player, and then we've got Nelson and Kyle, and they're all schoolmates.
They are. They're seniors in high school, and they're all involved with different activities, but they do know each other. We've got Jason, who's the school star basketball player, who's described as having it all. He's got the good looks, he's popular, he's got a cute girlfriend. If you're the school star basketball player, you're usually known by all. That's a pretty visual spot, you might say. People notice you, you're in the spotlight. Then we've got Nelson. Nelson has been out for a long time, and he is the only one at his school who is out, so he has to endure daily bullying by people who are not kind. So he remains true to himself, and he just hopes that someday there will be broader acceptance for him beyond just his family. His family supports him. And then we've got Kyle, who's described as being intelligent, he's shy, he's a swimmer, and he's known for a while secretly inside himself that he's gay, but he is fearful of telling others, especially his parents. And he's awfully shocked when one day Jason Carrillo, the school's star basketball player, shows up at a Rainbow Youth meeting.
Indeed, and to make a long story short, at the end there we've got Jason having a dilemma with his sexual identity and where to go to school. He's under a lot of pressure. His grades are dropping. He broke up with his girlfriend. So he is really confused, and he seeks out Kyle for assistance, and then they start to have study sessions together. So let's find out what happens next. Let's listen to our second summary of the story, and we'll be right back to discuss it. During a study session, Jason shares a childhood incident with Kyle. His father caught him and his friend Tom touching each other during a bath, which led to strict rules at home. Since then, homosexuality has been a forbidden topic. After hearing Jason's story, Kyle feels closer to him and they share a kiss. Jason feels overwhelmed and runs away. He starts avoiding Kyle because he is unsure how to handle his emotions and fears how being gay might impact his reputation and future. Meanwhile, as Nelson perceives Kyle and Jason growing closer, his jealousy increases. Acting on impulse, Nelson arranges a date with Brick, a stranger he meets online. After their initial intimate encounter, Nelson discovers that Brick is already in a relationship, and to Nelson's dismay, they did not use protection. This leaves Nelson worried about the possibility of having contracted HIV. He shares his concerns with his mother, proceeds to the hospital for testing, and seeks Kyle's support. Amid these challenges, Kyle and Nelson also endure constant bullying. One day after witnessing Kyle and Nelson being attacked on the street, Jason intervenes and brings them to his house to clean up their wounds. When his father shows disgust toward Nelson, Jason confronts him with the truth about his sexuality, prompting his father to abandon the family. Later, Jason finds comfort in Kyle and apologizes for his prior disappearance. He also praises the courage that Kyle recently exhibited at school by coming out. A few days later, Nelson posts announcements for their new Gay-Straight Alliance Club, which aims to foster understanding. This time, Jason resolves to cease hiding. He walks into the first club meeting, ready to face whatever comes next. Okay, it's time for us to discuss the contents of our lesson for today. Again, it's the second day in which we are talking about Rainbow Boys, our featured work of literature for the month of April. Again, it's a young person's novel, and we could also describe it as a coming-of-age novel. That's why young people would probably relate to this, because as we're getting older, we're changing into adults, and it's kind of a confusing time. And this is focusing on the theme of homosexuality. Sometimes people have this sexual orientation, and they have their own particular problems, including Jason. Now, during a study session, Jason shares a childhood incident with Kyle. So remember, Jason and Kyle are getting together to study. And, of course, when you study, you probably have lots of chats, and maybe sometimes you start to get rather personal. So Jason shares a childhood incident. Okay, an incident is something that happened. It's probably bad. It's probably something that you don't want to talk about. You're embarrassed about it. So he shares this incident with Kyle. I think all of us probably have similar stories from our lives. It's something that happened to us that we're quite ashamed of, and we're really afraid to talk about it with other people.
Right. So his father caught him and his friend Tom touching each other during a bath, which led to strict rules at home. Strict meaning very serious, rigid rules that they couldn't break. And since then, homosexuality has been a forbidden topic. If something's forbidden, it's banned. You may not do it. You cannot discuss this. And it was a topic that they weren't going to allow into their home. This was coming from, of course, Jason's parents. So after hearing Jason's story, Kyle feels closer to him and they share a kiss. Oh, things are changing here quickly. Jason feels overwhelmed and runs away. If you're overwhelmed, it means you're getting too much of something at one time. You can be overwhelmed at work. Maybe you have too many emails and too many projects and too many clients calling you. So you feel like you're drowning or you're being buried underneath this huge amount of work. Here he's overwhelmed by feelings, by emotions. So this is a pretty important or pivotal, you could say a pivotal point in the story, at least for Jason.
All right, so Jason runs away. He's not sure what's happening, and he starts avoiding Kyle because he is unsure how to handle his emotions and fears, how being gay might impact his reputation and future. So remember, Jason has a reputation to think about. Remember, he's the star basketball player. He gets good grades. He used to have a really pretty girlfriend. So if you have a good reputation, that means people respect you. They think highly of you. You might have done lots of good things. You have lots of friends. You have lots of influence, maybe a lot of money or something. So yes, indeed, he needs to protect his reputation. But hey, he's kind of going crazy here because he's confused. He can't handle his emotions and he can't handle his fears. And this is because he's afraid how being gay might impact his reputation. So if people find out that he's gay, people might look down on him and he won't be the star basketball player anymore. He probably won't be able to get to a good college. He'll be shamed. He'll be bullied. Yeah, there's a lot on the line here.
Now remember, if you use the word reputation, you have to add whether it's a good reputation or a bad reputation. Just because you use reputation doesn't let us know whether it's good or bad, positive or negative. You need another word there for us to know whether someone has a good reputation or a bad reputation. Your reputation is everything, guys, so you'll want to work hard on keeping your reputation as good as possible out there, whether you're at school or whether you're at home or whether you're at work. All of this matters, so I can see why he feels overwhelmed about what he should do.
Okay, now let's move on and talk about Nelson. Now, remember, he's the other person of this trilogy of people. Meanwhile, as Nelson perceives Kyle and Jason growing closer, his jealousy increases. Okay, so remember, Nelson has a crush on Jason as well. Kyle seems to be getting closer to Jason, so of course, naturally, Nelson is getting jealous. The state of being jealous is jealousy. That's when somebody else has something that you don't have. It's usually used in love circles, like if you have a crush on a girl, but then she seems to like another guy, you might be jealous and you might be really uneasy about that. What am I going to do? She doesn't like me the same way I like her. She actually likes someone else. I'm really jealous. Envious is a similar word, except that to me means more about what somebody has. Like I'm really envious of the house you live in. Yeah. It's a big house. I live in this small, crummy apartment that we can't afford, so I'm really envious of you. But hey, you got a really beautiful wife. I'm jealous of you. Or envious, I guess you could say as well. But again, it's more like a love triangle.
Yeah, we do kind of switch those words back and forth, but I agree with Tom. I think envy's more about wanting something that somebody else has. It could be a talent, too. You could be envious of someone's athletic ability or their ability to test well on math tests and things like that. You could be envious. But you could also say, oh, I'm really jealous of her. Or I'm really jealous of him. So we do switch those words back and forth. Of course, here it's the noun form. Someone's jealousy is causing them problems. We don't really use envy in a noun form too much. His enviousness? No. We just use envy. Somebody envies somebody else. So acting on impulse, Nelson arranges a date with Brick. Now, an impulse is this just really sudden, very strong urge to do something. Maybe it's a desire you have to do something, a desire to act. So if you're acting on impulse, it means you're not really thinking things through very clearly. You have kind of an emotional reaction and then you act out. So that's acting on impulse. That usually doesn't lead to good consequences, guys. You need to think about your actions before you move out and do them. You could cause yourself some problems in the future. What does he do? He arranges a date with someone named Brick, a stranger he meets online. I just want to encourage all the kids out there, this isn't something you ever want to do. Don't meet people that you've met online that are strangers. Mostly that leads to heartache, heart trouble, and sometimes even some danger for you. So be very careful about this.
You got to be very careful, although I understand this is great for homosexuals because if you're living in a normal situation, it's hard to tell who's gay and who isn't. But if you go to a website, hey, you know, everybody there is the same as you, and you'll feel comfortable that way. But again, there are risks involved, so be careful. And in this particular case, Nelson is going to go on a date with a guy named Brick. Brick here is kind of an unusual name. That's usually what we use to build walls with. I suspect this guy is called Brick because his hair is red or orange, the same color as a brick.
Oh, no, he could be a really a macho guy with a lot of muscles.
Could be. That too. Bricks are strong as well.
Yeah. It doesn't sound like a real name. It's probably his nickname, of course. So they have an intimate encounter. Intimate means you're getting very personal with somebody. Here, I think it refers to them having sexual relations. Unfortunately, I mean, this guy's in high school. He's a stranger. This is really not a good situation to be in. So intimate can also just mean closely acquainted, very familiar with someone. If a setting, an setting setting, a place is described as being intimate, it's kind of very warm and draws people in. Maybe you've been to a nice restaurant that has an intimate feel to it, an intimate atmosphere. You can use it that way as well. Well, now Nelson, and sadly, discovers that Brick is already in a relationship. Sounds like he's a bad dude, guys. And to Nelson's dismay, they do not use protection, which can really lead to physical and health problems. So this is all really sad that he gets into this situation. And he gets into it because he's jealous, and then he acts on impulse. So remember, those are two bad things to combine together.
Right, and dismay is often used in the phrase to one's dismay. To my dismay, I unfortunately found out something was wrong. So to Nelson's dismay, or unfortunately for Nelson, they did not use protection, so there might be some problems there. And that brings us to the halfway point in our discussion for today. Let's listen now to our Chinese teacher.
Hello everyone, 我是 Patrick 老师。今天讲解的是4月24号 Unit 14。好，这个单元介绍的是《彩虹男孩》Rainbow Boys 这本小说。这个课文呢是第2天的内容。书中呢有3个主角 ，Jason 是学校的篮球明星，和 Kyle 互动过程当中意识到自己对同性的情愫。但是他的父亲呢非常的严厉，而且他自己也有一些认同的障碍，选择了回避。那 Nelson 呢是看到自己心仪的 Kyle 和其实另外有欣赏的对象，也就是 Jason， 所以他决定和陌生男子约会。不过呢，却因为缺乏保护措施，发生了性行为，而忧虑自己会不会感染 HIV。那好，那我们一起来看一下学习重点吧。请同学呢看到第1段。好， 第一段这边呢就讲到了 Jason， 由于前面我们知道说 Jason 担心自己没有办法顺利拿到这个大学的奖学金嘛，那他求助于 Kyle， 两个人的互动呢越来越多，后来呢 Jason 就告诉 Kyle 说自己小时候发生了什么事。原来 his father 指的呢就是 Jason 的爸爸，有一次呢发现说 Jason 和他的朋友 Tom 居然在洗澡的时候互相摸来摸去啊，因此呢这个 Jason 的爸爸就严格的禁止，之后呢有很严厉的这些家规就对了。那在家里面呢 homosexuality 他们是完全不会去谈到这些同性啊之间的议题的。好，那再来我们看到接下来，因为呢这个 Jason 其实当然意识到自己对 Kyle 是有一些情愫的，那他所选择的呢是逃避。我们看到第6个句子，为什么会逃避？ He starts avoiding Kyle， 后面就是原因了，因为他不知道要如何去处理自己对同性的情愫，那他也有所恐惧。 Fears how being gay， 他也很怕身为同志的这个身份不知道会如何影响他在学校里面别人对他怎么看他，会怎么说他。 His reputation 指的就是他的名声，那以及呢他未来会变得怎么样，他有这么多的忧虑。那我们看到第二段呢就进一步的呢去讲 Nelson 这个部分了。 Nelson 这一条线是怎么样，他察觉到 perceive 指的就是察觉到 Kyle 和 Jason 其实走得越来越近，那当然会吃醋啊。 His jealousy increases， 那吃醋就做了什么事？ Acting on impulse， 这里呢是分词构句，是谁冲动之下做了某件事啊？指的当然是 Nelson， 他呢就和陌生人 break， 就是线上认识的人呢去约会。那再来我们看第3个句子，第3个句子呢这里写的呢有点含蓄。 After their initial intimate encounter 字面上是亲密的会面，那我们当然指的就是他们后来就发生了性行为。那 Nelson 就发现这个 break 其实呢并不是单身，他是有和其他人交往的。那而且to Nelson's dismay， 这 dismay 指的就是担忧或者难过这一类负面的情绪，就是 Nelson 呢还有这个陌生男子从事性行为的时候是没有 they did not use protection， 没有使用任何的保护措施。
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Okay, guys, welcome back. It's day 2 of our Rainbow Boys, the novel written by Alex Sanchez about 3 friends and their experiences discovering their identity in high school. When we left you, we were talking about the resumption of the plot, you could say. So in day 2, we start out knowing that Jason gets together with Kyle to study, and he shares a childhood incident with his friend, his close friend. His father discovers him touching another boy while they're taking a bath, and that leads to really strict rules in the home. I'm sure that Jason's father is worried about his son becoming a homosexual, so this probably is why he set up those rules. So after hearing Jason's story, Kyle feels closer. They share a kiss. Jason feels overwhelmed by that, of course, and runs away. He starts avoiding Kyle because he's not sure how to handle his emotions. He feels overwhelmed and fears how being gay might impact his reputation and future. He has already broken up with his girlfriend at this point, though. So meanwhile, Nelson, who had a crush on Jason to begin with, notices that Kyle and Jason are becoming closer. They're not just best buddies. Looks like there's some attraction there. So his jealousy increases and he acts on impulse, arranges a date with kind of a creepy guy named Brick. And they have an intimate encounter. And to Nelson's dismay, they don't use protection. And this leaves Nelson worried about the possibility of having contracted HIV.
Right, which causes AIDS or AIDS, as you call it here in Taiwan. So you might get that if you don't have protection during sex. He shares his concerns with his mother. He tells his mother all about it. Gee, I might have a problem here. And he proceeds to the hospital for testing and seeks Kyle's support. So he wants to make sure that he's okay. So he goes on to the hospital. Here the word proceed just means to move forward, to go ahead. So yes, he goes to the hospital. He proceeds there. And of course here proceed is a verb. Sometimes this can be used as a noun, proceeds, spelled the same, but that just means like money you make in order to give to charity. The proceeds from our bake sale will be donated to charity.
Yeah, but here it just means he moves forward, he proceeds, goes forward in some sort of process. He proceeds to the hospital for testing, and then he seeks or turns to Kyle for support. Remember, Kyle is the one who admits to himself he's gay but has not come out to the public. So he seeks Kyle's support.
Indeed. Now, here in the next paragraph, it says, amid these challenges, or within these challenges, when these things are going on, Kyle and Nelson also endure constant bullying. So remember, because they are gay, they're different. And of course, in high school, kids are learning how to become adults, and they try to find things that are different about other people, and then they will attack you because of that. If you're weak or if you're a nerd or something, of course, lots of people will bully you. I'm sure lots of our listeners have probably had that experience. I would also suggest that a lot of us may have actually bullied other people, and we don't think we have. We think we've been nice, but maybe we've bullied somebody. Maybe we should take a look at ourselves sometimes. But indeed, they are enduring or undergoing constant bullying. They're being bullied for what they are.
So one day, after witnessing Kyle and Nelson being attacked on the street, Jason intervenes. And if you intervene, you get in the middle of some sort of argument or some sort of discussion or debate. You get involved. You weren't involved originally, but you get involved in the middle of something that perhaps you shouldn't. He was trying to help, though, and he wanted to rescue his friends. They were being beaten up on the street. They were being hurt. And so Jason brings them both back to his house, and he cleans up their wounds. He takes care of them.
Indeed. So he got involved, and he took them home and helped them clean up their injuries or their wounds. And when his father shows disgust toward Nelson, Jason confronts him with the truth about his sexuality, prompting his father to abandon the family. So sometimes a parent, either the mother or the father, cannot accept the fact that their son or daughter is gay. So he shows disgust toward Nelson. If you have disgust, that means it really makes you upset. It makes you feel disgusted. It makes you feel maybe sick or something. Oh, that's disgusting. I feel disgust for that situation. I can't believe something like that would happen. So he feels this way about Nelson. And then Jason is probably upset about his father's reaction. So Jason confronts his father with the truth about his sexuality. I'm telling you right now, Dad, I am gay. I'm not straight. So forget about changing me. That's who I am.
And it leads the dad to abandon the family. If you abandon a family, you leave them. You stop supporting them. You don't look after them. You desert them. That's another word, desert. D-E-S-E-R-T, desert. Not desert, the land. Desert, the verb. So he abandons his own family, which is very sad. No matter what your kids do, you never want to abandon them. You always have to love them. So later, Jason finds comfort in Kyle. So Jason turns to Kyle and for comfort, remember they were getting closer, and apologizes for his prior disappearance. Remember they shared that kiss and then Jason just ran off, and that was the prior disappearance we're talking about. He also praises the courage that Kyle recently exhibited at school by coming out. So here we learn that Kyle, who has really kept this all to himself up to this point, has now come out at school and announced that he's gay to his friends.
Okay, and a few days later, Nelson posts announcements for their new Gay-Straight Alliance Club, which aims to foster understanding. So this, again, is probably happening on the internet. Again, this novel came out in 2001. The internet was quite young in those days, but people did have the internet then. They did not have smartphones. Those would not come out for a while later, but he posted announcements, probably online on some website or something like that, maybe on a bulletin board, who knows. And, of course, this announcement was about their Gay-Straight Alliance Club, which means they want gay people and straight people to have an alliance to team up with each other to protect each other. And that's what an alliance is. That's when people team up, they get together for a particular purpose. Like during World War II, of course, there was the alliance between China and the United States and Britain and France. They were on one side, whereas the other alliance was Germany and Italy and Japan, and they fought each other. And, of course, we know what happened. So this is an alliance, basically a team.
Right. So it's formed so they can help each other. There's mutual benefit if they get together. It aims, or its goal is to foster or help understanding grow. To foster means to help something grow. So this time, Jason resolves, he decides within himself to cease hiding. Cease means to stop. Cease and desist. I remember growing up, my dad was an attorney, and he would talk about a cease and desist order, meaning you get a letter from an attorney saying you must stop this immediately or we'll sue you. To cease just means to stop or come to an end. And he wants to stop hiding. He decides within himself, this is what I'm going to do.
Exactly. So again, he goes through some sort of change, and that's usually what happens in a good story. Somebody goes through a change, they realize something, and then we say at the end of the story, and they lived happily ever after. So he walks into the first club meeting ready to face whatever comes next. So that is a rather bold move on his part because, of course, as you know, he is the star basketball player. He had a really pretty girlfriend. So this is going to have major consequences on his reputation because if he goes to that club meeting, everybody's going to know he's actually gay. And a lot of people just don't like the fact that someone is gay. He might get bullied, but hey, he's ready to face whatever comes next. He is a brave boy.
So we really don't know exactly what happens to Jason at the end, but kind of gives you this idea that at least he wants to acknowledge the others around him that are coming out and saying they are gay. Visually, they're not hiding anything. So we'll see what happens. We're not done, though, guys. Day 3, we're taking another day to talk about this book. And the next time we meet, we're going to be talking about the author, some of the themes in this book, and why it might be really important to those of you out there that are struggling with this issue. So right now, though, before we wrap up, we're going to listen to our Chinese teacher one more time. Stay tuned.
我们看第4个句子，那 Nelson 没有使用保护措施，后面有什么样的情况呢？前面这件事情 this 指的前一个句子 leaves 就是造成，后面怎么样呢？ Nelson worried 这个 worried 并不是一般动词而是怎么样呢？过去分词在修饰 Nelson 这个受词，那这是受词补语，就是 Nelson 相当忧虑，忧虑的呢是自己会不会感染 HIV。好，请同学把 having contracted 画起来，因为在 of 后面，所以我们不可能呢单独用 have contracted， 那个 have 这个助动词要加上 ing。那再来我们看第3段，请同学呢看第一个句子 amid these challenges， 在这些挑战当中我们知道 Kyle 和 Nelson 他们在校园生活当中呢遇到各式各样的挑战嘛，那这个片语很常见，请同学呢把它记下来 amid these challenges， 介系词我们用 amid。 好，那发生了一些事情呢，某一天就 Kyle 和 Nelson 呢在街上被其他人攻击了。好， Jason 看到了这一幕，好，那他怎么样呢？ He intervenes 就是介入，当然就是阻止别人继续打 Kyle 和 Nelson， 而且他带这2个人呢回到他家，帮他们呢处理这个伤口。那可是他爸爸呢看到这个场景 His father shows disgust， 然后他就对这个 Nelson 当然没有好脸色，就是一副觉得 Nelson 很恶心的样子。那 Jason confronts him， 这个 him 指的就是他自己的爸爸 with the truth about his sexuality， confront somebody with， 那其实就是让什么人面对了什么。那所以意思就是 Jason 对他爸爸出柜，让他知道他自己的性倾向。后面 prompting 分词构句，那这么做造成了什么样的情况呢？ Prompting his father to abandon the family。 后来啊，他爸爸气得离家出走。好，那再来我们看第4个句子。那 Jason 在面临这样子的情况之后哦，他就对 Kyle 呢道歉，因为呢他曾经呢就无故消失了嘛，不再跟 Kyle 联络，在躲他。好，所以这里 his prior disappearance， 他针对之前呢自己躲起来跟 Kyle 道歉。 prior 是之前发生的情况。好，我们看到第4段的第2个句子，这里呢是最后一个老师要介绍的片语。 Jason resolves to 就是他下定决心。 Jason 呢他就不再躲躲藏藏了。好，以上就是我们针对这篇课文内容第2天的内容所做的中文讲解。 See you next time.
That's all for today, and remember to join us next time when we continue talking about our featured novel of the month, and we'll talk about the author next time. And also make sure you check out our content on Facebook and YouTube. From all of us here at English Digest, I'm Tom.
I'm Stephanie.
Goodbye.
Bye.